You could say we were really high when we spoke about Kogo.
Who don't know what Kogo AI does, what the company is, and what does it do.
We are trying to drive adoption of AI by taking the technology out of AI. The biggest issue with AI implementation is
One thing that really struck my mind is Human First Manifesto.
AI can augment human potential.
We are actually currently building a agent that can look at a database, actually think like a data scientist or a business analyst, and generate extremely intelligent questions. Which industries will be the first ones to be hit with AI where job losses will happen the most?
AI will affect 40% of all jobs in the future.
I expect there to be significant impact on jobs, but exactly what that impact looks like is very difficult to predict.
It's not so much about industry, but if the process is clearly mapped, it will be the first stop for AI implementation. People who know how to use AI will take jobs from people who don't know how to use AI.
Creators will become movie studios.
Are you ready?
Because now they don't need huge production crews to create a movie. Tell us a little about the work that you guys are doing with the Indian Army.
The Indian Army is really investing heavily in AI. It's a kind of project that has never been done before.
Welcome to another very exciting episode of our podcast, Hot Seat by A Media House. Today we dive into the minds of one of the most innovative AI-powered platforms that is out there, Kogo AI. Guys, today we are going to be joined by Raj K. Gopalakrishnan and Praveer Kochar, the absolutely brilliant duo behind Kogo AI, a game changer in storytelling, travel tech, engagement solutions, and in building AI agents. Their journey, guys, combines cutting-edge technology. It's a passion for transforming how we connect with the world and with each other. So, stay tuned as we uncover the vision, the challenges, and the groundbreaking ideas driving their success. Raj, Praveer, welcome to Hot Seat by A Media House. How are you guys?
Good. Excited.
Lovely. Raj?
Doing great here. Thanks so much for having us. Looking forward to the chat.
We definitely want to talk about Kogo AI, all the work that is going on in there, all the very, very fascinating work. But we'll take a small little trip down memory lane because our viewers also want to find out the people that you guys are, the persons that you all are. So if we can go a few years back and take us through the way the early years started, which city were you guys growing up in, and how did that lead to the career getting started? I'll start with Raj.
Career getting started is a long time ago. So let's go back maybe 5-6 years as far as Kogo is concerned. It started more out of the fact that Praveer and me, we've been friends for over a decade. We became friends because of our passion for motorcycles and for riding, and we used to ride all over the world and in India. And actually, the germination of Kogo, or the idea of Kogo, happened at 14,000 feet.
Wow.
Praveer and me were riding back from Spiti, and we were looking for a certain place, which in our previous season was around, and we said, "Listen, what if we had an invisible, automatic travel companion without the hassle of having one more person who could actually, sort of catalog everything, tell the story, do all of that?" And we said, "Why don't we, and that night over some old monk and some chakna, we sort of chatted and we said, oh, we can do this and let's start an AI company and we can start with mobility and travel and all of that." And that's how Kogo really began. You could say we were really high when we spoke about Kogo, 14,000 feet high. As far as my previous companies were concerned, I used to run what was one of India's largest non-fiction entertainment companies. So we used to produce most of the stuff that came on Discovery, National Geographic, and BBC, and so on and so forth. And then a design company, then I incubated a video technology company, a cloud computing company. So lots happened. And then I retired 20 days before I turned 40, leading a blissful life till he dragged me out of oblivion on that fateful day in the Himalayas, is when it all started. So yeah, it's been 6 years since that day.
Praveer, tell us a little about your journey. How's that been like, the 5 companies and then Kogo?
Similar entrepreneurship journey since beginning. Started my first company with my college batchmate, bootstrapped 2005. Um, I mean, at that time it was like, okay, what are we good at? Let's do that. And we used to do some projects during college, so uh, we thought, okay, let's just convert this into something that we'll do. So we just set up a hot shop, design, execution, retail, marketing, whatever we could get our hands on. But it kind of grew into a retail technology company. The company still runs, doing very, very well. I am not a part of it. I exited 2015, 16. Um, in the middle, for about 6 years, I was also running a media house into motorcycling. Was a publisher for XBHP, India's largest motorcycling community, and invested in it, ran it for 5, 6 years. Yeah, after that, I think working with retail and technology, the technology bug really bit me hard. And since then, the focus has been to build more technology uh, focused things, products. And yeah, I think the opportunity came to kind of finally work together with Raj, and that happened. And Kogo was born. And since then, it's been a hell of a ride. We started, we launched our first product, I think February of 2020.
Yeah.
Within a month, COVID hit.
Yeah, what was
And
that
we
like?
started a travel AI company.
So we actually had launched in India, Indonesia, and Australia. And I still remember we were in Indonesia, and there was this huge, activity around because it was 02022020. So the date was a palindrome from both sides, and we made some word play around it and did the launch, and lots of guys came, and very quietly, 1 month later, we shut down Australia, we shut down Indonesia, and we said, let's put our heads down. Shit's about to hit the fan. We'd already come in and seen the effect that it was having at that point in time, right? It still hadn't hit India. But, Praveer said, dude, I think this is going to get really bad. So we actually started work from home and exited, and we currently in WeWork. At that time also, all our offices were in WeWork. We paid the penalty, got out of the agreements, sent everybody home.
Much before Modi ji said, Mitro,
Yeah. Much
days.
before.
Much before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Much before. So I think it was mid-Feb that we sent everybody home and said, "Ghar se kaam karo." People were overjoyed. It was not a concept that we'd heard of. And one of the things that what I'd like to highlight is that even when we were doing creative stuff, right? One of the things that you understand, especially in the time that we were running these creative businesses at that time, how creative you can get depended on how well you understand or understood the technology that you were using for the creative. For example, what you could do with now jibs are common, but at that time, we didn't have drones. We had to custom build drones, or how you did certain kind of retail design, and what the laser cut technology could do then. So your creativity also was limited by technology. So we were constantly also on the lookout for technology, understanding technology. So our understanding of technology in the application of it in every field that we've ever worked in has been very high.
Is the fact that both of you are serial entrepreneurs, 6 companies, 5 companies. I understand that maybe was there a job that happened, or was it straight away business straight after college? Never a job.
No.
So this kida of entrepreneurship, where did that come from? Where did that hit from?
It was very simple from the beginning, that didn't want to work for anybody. My co-founder at that time, my college batchmate, he gave one interview at a PR company, and he came back and said, "Sorry, yaar, I don't think this is going to happen."
Humse na
ho payega ye. So he came back, and I think it was very clear that we didn't want to really work for anybody.
It was a little different for me. Out of business school, I went into advertising for a short stint, and then I became a events person, right? Entertainment. So I was a concert promoter. Now, when I joined this company, of course, I gave them all the spiel that, oh, give me my career path. I'm a MBA. What is my life going to look like in 5 years? And they said, dude, it doesn't matter shit to us whether you're an MBA or not. You will come in as a trainee, and we don't care what you've learned. And then, ऐसे करते करते करते, in 5 years, you'll become a manager. So I said, okay, we'll give it a shot. I think I transitioned from trainee to manager in 23 days,
Wow.
right? And then I started setting up more divisions for them and expanded and made them into one of India's largest entertainment companies. Uh, and hats off to them. I learned a lot from them, but they gave me a free hand, right? So 3 months into my job, I was given a free hand as an entrepreneur to do what I wanted. It was my cost, my profit, my infrastructure, all of it, their brand name. And I did that for a year and a half. And then I said, okay,
Which city were you working out of for this
Mumbai.
company? Mumbai, of course.
Well, at that time, Bombay.
Yes. At that time, Bombay. Okay.
Yes.
And if you can tell us about the names of maybe some of the shows that you worked on.
Well, I did Shaggy, Deep Purple, Michael Jackson, Slash, Noble Savages, Wickfield, Shampoo, Apache Indian, the AB Baby album with Bachchan Saab and Bali. So yeah, lots of stuff. Lots of stuff. I had, in fact, the privilege of doing Nusrat Saab's last concert that happened in India, which
wow.
I did in Mud Island for a private gathering of some 600 people.
Before getting into full details of what Kogo AI does and what Kogo AI plans to do in the recent future, I just have a short question that I want to ask you guys. How did the travel Kida and the biker Kida, how did that hit?
It was always there, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, going to college on a motorcycle, and then passed out of college, I think 2004. Did my first trip to Leh in 2004. That was, I mean, at that time, obviously, you didn't have a map or Google or nothing. You had no clue where you're sleeping or where you're going. And then on, I think for me, getting involved with XPHP, the biking community in India, having a lot of friends there, and riding a lot. I think between the two of us, we would have ridden, I think, more than 300,000 kilometers on motorcycle. So it's not a small Kira; it's a very big Kira. But it's always been there. I don't know. It's for me. It's personally, it's more like it's the only way to block everything out. When you're inside that helmet on a motorcycle, you're alone, and in that box is all your thoughts and thinking, and everything is boxed in, and you're riding through. So it's meditation and a break from the noise of everything. So yeah, it still continues. We still
Yeah,
ride.
still
I
right.
just got back from Delhi, drove, got my bike in my car. I usually do this every year twice. When the winters hit, bring the bike in car to Bangalore, and when the summers are coming up, take it back to Delhi. So yeah, travel is primary occupation.
Very smart move. How much does the AQI play a role in behind this decision?
I moved here 2 years back. That's a proof of from Delhi, and I think I'd already moved out of Delhi COVID time. But then after that, didn't want to go back.
A little about your biking journey.
Got into college in 91 and got my hands on this really old bullet. I still remember the seat behind said Khajanchi, and I had that bullet for a long time. Started riding, and then similar, just never stopped. I mean, there was no Google Maps, there was no navigation. You'd just get out, you'd ask for directions, you'd go, you'd find a path here and there, you'd make your way in. And you have to understand, back in that time, so this was when uh, if you didn't start the bullet properly, it'll break your leg, right? The brake was not, I mean, everything was opposite, right? The gears were on the right, the brake was on the left. You had to do compression, there's all of that. So your mechanic was your best friend. So you'd constantly be sitting there and you'd say, टैपेट का आवाज ऐसा आ रहा है, इसको ठीक करो, अच्छा piston एक रिंग गया, दो बदलेंगे. This was the shit that happened all the time. And then the, that whole activity of being one with the motorcycle, your mechanic, and the road, it's been there right from the beginning. So it never went away. You know, it was not that we started working, so acha, ab biking ke din khatam. No, it was never like that. It was always there. And like he said, uh, and when the two of us are riding, we're obviously uh, metaphorically and literally inside each other's head because we're on our comms and we talk about stuff and this freedom and there is it's meditation but it's also concentration because you've got to be focused. You safety is paramount, right? So you have to ride safe, so you have to be focused on the road, but at the same time it gives you the uh, flexibility of just chatting away, looking at the road, and then mostly we're talking about the road. Wow, that's a nice curve. Oh, great. Oh, look at that. That's coming up. And it's just, you're not talking about work, right? We talk a lot about food. So we say, Acha khane ke liye kya hai? Where are we having breakfast? We'll order a lot of food. We'll eat, because, when you're riding so much also, you actually burn a lot of calories, right? So we eat a lot of food. Then the next conversation, यार ज़्यादा order कर लिया यार, बहुत खा लिया. 10 minutes of silence. अच्छा फिर lunch कहाँ कर रहे हैं? So it's literally, but it's great, yeah. It's great. It is our release. It is our prayer. It is our meditation. It is our joy. It is everything.
One quick question I want to ask you guys, because you guys mentioned that the riding journey started long before all this tech boom hit, maps and all long before that happened. Slightly similar experiences I had in my first year in Delhi, mid 15 to mid 16, and my first year in Mumbai. Not because the digital boom hadn't happened, but because I was late to it and financially it didn't allow me. I had a small little Star Galaxy 2G phone. So I found out the city लोगों से बात कर करके, TC से बात करके, ऑटो रिक्शा से बात करके, and that's how I found out the city. And I'm very glad because I found out both Delhi and Bombay better that way, as opposed to if I had a phone with which I was looking at it non-stop and checking the map and going places. Which part do you all prefer better as travelers, that era or this era with the digital?
No, even now, it's quite simple. Like this time, we just finished a ride in Ladakh. Okay. And we've done Ladakh a ton of times, right? I mean, you see a road now because of the amount we've ridden, you have some amount of memory, right?
Correct.
But then some new road comes, you don't look at your GPS.
Just
You don't.
take
You
that turn.
take it. If it's a dead end, what's the worst case scenario? You'll turn around and come back, but you had a good ride. So a lot of exploration, and that's where Praveer is a rock star. So he's just gone off this beaten path, that beaten path. There was he will not tell you this, but there was a time in his life just before COVID, or rather when COVID hit, he decided to chuck traditional living, right? And he only put stuff that fitted on his motorcycle.
Oh wow.
Took his trusty motorcycle, went, lived next to a stream in Rishikesh for about 7-8 months. Only thing, wherever he goes, he has to buy a 70-inch television. Okay. Because he needs that television there. And of course, it's disposed of right there till he goes to the next place. Then he came and stayed over at my place, which is in the Nilgiris, for 3 months. And then he had booked a cottage at the back of Beyond somewhere in North Goa. So he stayed there for another 5 months.
I'm also remembering these things.
Yeah.
I've forgotten all this.
And then he rode from there and he went to Dharamshala. And then he stayed in Dharamshala for a year. And then, yeah, there's lots happening at that time. But the one constant was, bike pe jitna saman aayega, only that much.
उतना ही carry करना,
उतना ही carry करना. But you
हाँ,
don't need more than that
carry
technically.
नहीं. I mean, now literally it's just 2 suitcases that I own. That's it. So I can move wherever I want. I think nomadic working people have heard, but I've not seen a lot of nomadic entrepreneurs. I don't know. That's not really catching up. I don't know why.
I think after this interview, it might.
It should. It
Because
should.
it sounds great.
Why only people who work for companies get to have all the fun? Working from Goa. Entrepreneurs should also have that freedom. So yeah, but I think coming back to your question about technology, I look at it like if I now have technology, I know where not to go.
Interesting.
So if Google's telling me this is the route to Goa, that's the route I will not take.
Okay.
because I know all the traffic is there. That's what everyone is taking. So now I can reroute and take a different route, which obviously will be more scenic, not faster. That's what technology also has done. It's kind of, and this was also the reason behind what we built with Kogo initially, right? We wanted to map people's trips and give it. We had a small device that you could carry and give it to a lot of travelers who would carry that device, and then go to off beaten paths so others can follow and not really go for what Google was suggesting.
You remember that the Churu trip, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that palace place.
Was it Kimsar?
Kimsar. Yeah. So from Kimsar, of course, the way was to come back, right? The same route. We had a press junket there. So, but the moment that got over, we're like, dude, we're not going back the same way, right? We did not see any maps. We took every left, right that looked scenic, and it was the most amazing scenic route that we came through. And he did exactly that at that time. He looked at it and said, "Oh, the highway is like, northwest. Udhar nahi jana. Let's head this side." So we'd say, "Okay, this road," and we came out very close to Delhi. Stayed in one dilapidated old haveli, which nobody's heard of. Great food. It was an awesome experience. So yeah,
We had haldi ki sabji there.
we had
Haldi
haldi
ki
ki
sabzi?
sabji. Yeah.
Oh
So
my.
and this is some
Like
dhaba on the
akka
road.
haldi.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
they grate it
They grate it.
into like a bhurji, right? Like
Wow.
paneer bhurji, and they make a curry out of haldi, like just haldi
See,
So-
raw turmeric is not like a
powder.
it's not like a powder.
Yeah,
Na?
yeah.
It's more like a root.
Correct. Akka.
It's almost like ginger,
Right.
right? It's almost like ginger.
And the
So-
sabzi had those pieces.
yeah, grated.
Grated like a
Ah,
bhurji.
ah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's sharp, like wasabi type
And
sharp.
the guy who was serving us, now I remember, extremely fair. And he was like, if you eat this, you'll be more fair than you are.
Imagine
Say
saying
that
to
to
Praveer.
Praveer.
Yeah.
I mean,
But he
मेरे को
was-
बोले तो समझ में आता है.
That's how he sold it to us. He was like, haldi ka sabji kayenge.
Let's talk shop a little. Some of them maybe who don't know what Kogo AI does. So if in 2 lines you can explain what the company is and what does it do. Praveer.
Not explaining technically, but we are trying to drive adoption of AI, right? By taking the technology out of AI, right? And the way to do that is to build tools and applications and agents that people can use to automate their work, reduce time spent in repetitive tasks, so that all of us can spend more time motorcycling, traveling, eating, and we firmly believe that this is probably the only technology that can bring work-life balance, and probably that's our biggest motivation of doing what we are doing today. And yeah, that's what we are saving people time.
6 years back, when the start happened for Kogo, what were some of the main key problem points that you guys were looking to solve?
So it was very similar to the early days of Gen AI, right? We started with 2 concepts. So what was the idea? The idea was that people travel, they don't know where to go, what to do, how to get there, and where to sort of stay. I mean, forget the reviews and this, that, and all, but from a peer perspective, would you be able to capture your journey, etc. Now that is completely Gen AI, right? So it was the precursor to Gen AI, and we started with the base of two technologies, which was basically narrative intelligence and computational linguistics, right? So we sort of put that together, put data sets together, used lat long as triggers, and basically created an automated storytelling mechanism. So our tagline that time was, "You travel, Kogo tells the story." So it would capture. I mean, imagine you start your trip, right, and it would start writing the story. So the technology piece there was always to generate content, to generate content from relevant data and context. So that really was the technology that we built. The benefit to the end customer or the end traveler is a separate issue. But the core technology was this, taking data and context and generating something which was, consumable, insightful, and so on. Now, the same thing when you apply it to different spheres, right? Today, what he's sort of broken it down, and what in marketing spiel, if we say, we are an AI platform as a service. It's almost like 30 Y Combinator companies, and each of those components being built into our platform. So if you look at the platform, it has two distinct pieces. One is what we call as Kogo OS, or the operating system. The Kogo OS is the builder, where AI agents, AI tools, AI plugins can be built. That really is the mother load from where all of this is being controlled. Now, there's observability, there is knowledge graph, there is RAG management, there is hallucination management, there is multi-agentic workflow, blah, 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 ML ops, there are 50 things, right? Prompt engineering. All of this is hard baked into the OS in a no code, low code platform or a format, so that, like he said, what is the point of AI if you cannot take the technology out of technology, right? So that's what the Kogo OS is. And top of the Kogo OS is the second component, which is the Kogo AI agent store. So any agent that is built here gets deployed there. Think of it very simply as a comparison. Apple made Xcode so that you could make apps and put it on the App Store. Same way, we made Kogo OS so that anybody, right now, we make those agents and plugins and tools, but we also have a developer program, which Praveer will talk about in detail, can build AI agents and put it on the store. And anybody, whether it is enterprise or it is mid market MSME, can use those agents, tools, and plugins in an instant, right? Now, why did I say that? Why is it important for us to have an OS that is like 30x Y Combinator companies, right? It's because today, the biggest issue with AI implementation is safety. Banking, financial services, insurance, government, military, citizen services, etc., etc. There is just too much at stake for from a privacy and from a data security point of view, right? The beauty is that you can now take the entire OS, which does all these things, which otherwise you have to go to different points which are in the ether, right? It all sits inside. So the entire thing can go and sit inside the environment on prem for large enterprise. And absolutely nothing, no data goes out. And that really is the winning point that we built with Kogo. So there's the Kogo OS and there's the store. It runs on our cloud where MSME and mid market can use it, and it runs inside or on prem of large enterprises or on their private cloud where it is completely air gapped and runs with their data being secure, with their guidelines, with their various compliances.
One important part of what Raj just spoke about is a learning that we've had in the last 4 to 5 months as we kind of came out of stealth and started talking about Kogo OS, started talking to companies, small, medium, large, all sizes. And we realized that there is a fear of AI. Fear is uh, if you're doing a job, the fear is different. But if you're running a company, the fear is different, right? You see the possibilities, but you don't know how safely you can implement those possibilities, considering the data that you deal with is literally what your company is. So if you're a bank, right, the data that you're sitting on is what your company is today. If that data has to go to the cloud to some other service provider, right, you're not okay with that, and that's the fear. There is need and there is demand for AI, but there is a huge fear that why should I send my data to the cloud to some language model? So employees are being discouraged to use models, right? A lot of large, cloud providers are working on systems that can do on-prem. On-prem is not cheap, right? So as AI becomes smaller, faster, more portable, uh, that adoption will increase. But we are trying to, uh, you know, ride the wave early, and we realized that our platform and our entire stack has to be so portable that within a day you can deploy it in your company, and all the data that you have, right, uh, and whatever tools you want to use in AI sit inside your environment. And I think that's getting us a lot of traction. I mean, we're running out of hours in a day to kind of fulfill the kind of demand that's getting generated because of this. We talked to 55 large enterprise clients, system integrators across the globe. We're already working with more than a dozen, and more want to work with us. And I think it's the early days of AI, where 80% of our job is education and telling people what you can do with this really, and literally showing it to them.
In fact, like you were mentioning yesterday in that other chat that we were having, we've actually figured out how to monetize AI, right? We've figured out how to make money out of AI, because if you look at, there are very large uh, enterprises, consulting companies who've invested billions of dollars. Oh, okay. They don't even have 1 cent in revenue. We're already generating revenue from AI agents and from this entire AI ecosystem, right? We're not talking about AI infrastructure, we're talking about AI applications, right? So that's something that we figured out. In fact, Praveer gives this example often when he talks, when he's on public forums, that foundational models are like electricity, right? They've built electricity. Now, when he talks about portability, right? How do you use that electricity in your enterprise or business? You need a bulb, you need a fan, you need a toaster, you need a fridge, you need an oven. Kogo is that gigafactory that makes those appliances, because electricity by itself is of no use to you if you don't have the appliances that can use it, right? Now, the portability of having a mini genset, right, which can sit inside your house and run it and not be connected to the grid, that's the trick. That's what he's cracked with his team. So that's really, I hate the term USP, but currently yes.
Also, maybe a moat. Yes,
It's a moat, yeah.
It's a difficult to build. It's taken a lot of effort, but we think that it can last longer. I see a lot of vertical focused companies building AI solutions, to serve one use case. As hard is it to kind of fathom this, but these larger foundational model companies are going to come one by one and start taking over these use cases, right? So, very simple example. About 3 months back, when 4.0 Mini was launched, right? I we are tier two users of OpenAI, so we got an email, and I saw the pricing, and I immediately called our chief scientist. He's based out of Kerala, mad cap guy, also motorcyclist. So
Is that a like? Do you guys check that
no,
during interviews?
but it so happens that somehow it kind of comes together. So I called him. I said, "What do you make of this?" Because 4.0 Mini is about 25x cheaper than 4.0, and they brought down the cost to an extremely affordable level. Right? We were building a customer support agent and a voice-based agent at that time, and the cost was through the roof. One call for about 50 rupees. Who would pay 50 bucks for one call for an agent? It just got slashed to about 2.5 rupees.
Wow.
Right now, as we kind of dug in why this is happening, was essentially to take you off all open source models, because now a closed source model was much cheaper than all open source models. And that's how, foundational models in big money will kind of slowly start eating up one api at a time, because that's what they're in the business of, right? They're building single use case based platforms based on foundation models.
You mentioned more than 55 companies that are having demands. There are so many companies that have already incorporated Kogo. If you can tell us about one or two of the successful case studies that are going on currently.
The way to look at this is most of the use cases that are coming today in AI, and people ask us, what's the use case of AI, right? I can list 25 uh, monetizable great use cases of AI are essentially, if you look at factories, like if you look at a car or a motorcycle factory 10 years back, 15, 20 years back, it was more, there was very less automation, right? A lot of things were still being done manually. The assembly line was not yet automated. Slowly and gradually, every part of that process, robots were implemented, and now you have an assembly line which is more or less automated. That's exactly what AI is bringing to workflows, right? So if you have an insurance claim process, which is something that we are building with a large insurance company, the process involves a lot of manual steps, data validation, checking multiple interfaces, and then taking a decision at the end. So now this is the first process that is from semi-manual to complete automation, and then moving into complete autonomous processes. So this is probably the first and the largest opportunity in AI today. Existing manual processes, well documented, which are going to get automated. The second big opportunity that we are facing, and that's a challenging one. That's not, a lot of problems in AI are not solved. Huh? We along with a lot of other companies are currently working on solving these problems.
Tell us about some of those.
One of the big problems to solve is data query, right? So you have structured data, you have unstructured data, you have many possibilities of handling this. You have RAG pipelines, you have text to SQL models, you have graph RAG that's coming up, but it's still not intelligent enough. And what we found out, the problem, while working on a project for the Indian Army, we're actually working on something really instrumental in that domain, and it's essentially got to do with dealing with a large amount of structured data, right? To process large structured data with a small context model is very tough, right? Because you can't feed the model the query output. So let's say I ask a query and the output is in 100 rows. I cannot feed that to a model because the context window is not that large. And the second big problem we faced is, who will ask the intelligent question? AI is only as good as the question you ask it, right? You can write a great prompt, get a great output. Write an average prompt, get an average output, right? Now it essentially depends on the quality of the question you ask. And same goes with data insights or data query or business intelligence. So we're actually currently building a agent that can look at a database, any structured, unstructured data, and actually think like a data scientist or a business analyst and generate extremely intelligent questions, write the query for it, get the answer, and build a knowledge base. It's something extremely unique, a different way of solving the same problem, but we haven't really found much research papers on this, or even somebody who's really working on this, solving the problem in this manner. So but this is also very similar to the problem that I said, right? Now currently the process is manual. You would ingest the data, you'll understand the data, you'll build relationships, and then you'll build some kind of queries that you want to run or dashboard that you want to run. How to do this completely autonomously is the challenge in everything that we do today. And that's where I think things are moving slowly. You will see intelligent tools and tools getting better, and hence the output will get better, right? So you had a foot pump which you had to kind of jump on at one point in time. Now you just have a battery powered pump that you can just press a button and fills air. It's exactly like that what's going to happen in this journey. Few other use cases that we are currently working on are like we won a AI challenge with Michelin. So Michelin was running a global AI challenge, and we won the challenge. Uh, that was very different use case. They wanted AI to write machine code, so talk to machines. So they have CNC machines and they have assembly line machines. But to talk or configure a machine to do something, you have to write about 300 lines of code, and then you have to test it, and then you have to implement it. So we have another agent that we are a reasoning agent that we are working on, a multi-step reasoning agent called Shellfish. We kind of internal naming is like an aquarium. So one of them is a shellfish,
Cute.
one of them is a goldfish.
Cute.
So Shellfish essentially has reasoning ability, which we've built in house. Can write code, can execute code, can test code, interface with machines, other machines on an IP through the terminal, and actually see whether it's working or not. So the output that it gives you is saving about 36 hours for writing one automation command for a machine. And that was the goal of the challenge also. They wanted us to build something that could save this manual writing of code, so the operator can write more complex code, right? And that's another very differentiated kind of example. So that's the kind of problems that we are dealing with.
So when I was doing research and I was checking out the website, first of all, it looks like a really cool website, very user friendly as well. One thing that really struck my mind is Human First Manifesto. That section. If you can tell us a little about that, the Human First Manifesto section.
So our motto is tagline rather is human potential meets AI, right? We truly believe that AI can augment human potential, help unleash human potential, not necessarily replace humans as the overall understanding is. Oh, jobs will go XYZ. Sure, some jobs will go, but realize this is like the digitization in the early 2000s. People who knew how to use computers replaced people who did not know how to use computers. The same way. And but there were some jobs which computers could do better than humans, and therefore those jobs are gone. So those people needed to upskill and learn how to use computers for some other job, right? Having said that, it's the same with AI. AI is a great tool. It's a superpower that can really augment your abilities. What you need to do is upskill yourself. People who know how to use AI will take jobs from people who don't know how to use AI. Having said that, what is our Human First Manifesto all about? So, one is it has some basic tenets that, AI will be in service of mankind and not the other way around. So, everything that we build, AI will take care of privacy, AI will take care of data safety, AI will be ethical. All of this is actually built into our product, right? And he spoke about work life balance, and he's given a few talks about how AI can restore work life balance. And in fact, we are on track, and we've announced this in multiple places. We are on track to become a 4-day week company, 4-day a week working week company on 1st of March 2025.
Wow.
So all our internal processes, you can't make people's lives better, right? And make them productive at the same time. They're not mutually exclusive. You can be more productive, you can work lesser hours, you can lead a better life, and you can lead to more profitability, efficiency, and productivity for yourself as an organization. AI can do all of this. And that's really what the Human First Manifesto is all about, in helping us realize our true human potential.
There are two questions that I got from your answer itself. Both you and you have formed multiple companies, worked in multiple industries. Which industries, which genres, sectors do you think will be the first ones to be hit with AI, where job losses will happen the most?
I think it's not so much about industry, but any process which is repetitive, mundane, and involves low decision making, right? Or does not involve strategic decision making. Those are the processes which will go first. Now, can that be in an insurance company? Sure. Can that be in the government sector? Sure. Can that be in a media house? Sure. Can that be in a bank? 100%. Can it be in defense? 100%. Can it be in manufacturing? 100%. So it depends on what the process is. Whatever are the repetitive processes, they will go out first, freeing up those people to actually be more creative, more strategic, take better decisions. And that's really where the play is.
In my opinion, it will start from places where processes are already mapped, right? Better mapped, right? Um, those are the ones that will get automated first. So, very simple example is uh, autonomous cars, self-drive, full self-drive is already happening in the United States, primarily because the entire highway infrastructure is very conducive to full self-drive. Uh, Bangalore, very difficult to do full self-drive.
I think anywhere in India, especially the metropolitan cities, very difficult.
So you see, if AI comes into driving and you say, will drivers be replaced by autonomous cars in India? No. In the US, yes.
So it is
Because
very location specific as well.
Of course.
it's environment specific. The environment is more conducive for automation and autonomous processes. So any industry where the environment is conducive for automation, I mean, a government department that still runs on paper, no threat of AI.
But-
You are secured.
But
So-
Gorak, you have to, go back to what he said, which is where the process, these are repetitive processes, but where these processes are already clearly mapped.
Yep.
It has to be clearly mapped process. I mean, it's obvious traffic is not clearly mapped in Bangalore, right? If the process is clearly mapped, it will be the first stop for AI implementation. Industry is irrelevant.
But does it replace people? I'm not sure. I think, like with every new technology, people will get upskilled, and if you're handling 25 customer support calls in a day, you'll now be handling 250 with the same amount of time, and hence being more, you contributing more to whatever you're doing. Now, is that good or bad? That decision is up for people to take. But I think just that ability will increase. But just imagine uh, a question that you had, you wanted an answer to today, that you asked ChatGPT. Every question would have required you to do at least 4, 5, 6 Google searches to get an answer. How many queries do we really ask Google every day, right? Because of generative AI, you're getting answers faster. So that simple thing that all of us do hundreds of times in a day has gotten reduced. That we've saved some time, and that's in essence the unit of AI, right? It will save time at every level.
The human first manifesto that you guys mentioned, very correctly mentioned as well. But on the offside of it, on the contrary, like say a lot of the work that agents that you guys have generated on the platform will be doing, say for a restaurant owner comes and hires the an AI agent from your platform. That work could have been done physically and with a little bit of mental usage by a human being, which is now being replaced by the agent. So isn't that a little bit contrary to the human first?
Not really. Okay, let me give you an example. You're taking a small business example
Yeah.
here. Okay. Small businesses have limited resource. Take a restaurant or a salon, right? One of the girls who does nails or XYZ, or one of the guys who cuts hair will man the phone or will look at some WhatsApp message. There's a lot of missed opportunity there because that's not their core competence.
Correct.
That salon owner cannot get a suave booking receptionist person to come sit there only for that one function, because it's not a function that is core to the entire functioning. But at the same time, it is essential, because if bookings are not managed, you're not able to bring in your customers. Enter an AI agent, takes that headache completely off, right? Your people are doing what they're still doing, because the salon owner is not going to hire a person to man a reception desk. I mean, mid market companies, right? Media houses, Please tell me where you have seen a receptionist. It's mostly the security guard who's asked to sit at the reception so that you can save money.
It's the peon who's also the security guard, who's also the receptionist,
Yes, right.
who's also running and getting coffee.
So when you say human first, it is to help realize human potential. Now you can look at everything from two angles, right? Like Praveer said, it's all about upskilling. And like I was telling you earlier, if you do not upskill, people who know how to use AI will take over jobs from people who do not know how to use AI.
And I very strongly feel that technology adoption happens because of a core need. The need doesn't exist. You can try and sell whatever you want to sell, it will not sell, right? The fact that you shop now on Amazon and or Flipkart and don't go to a mall, right, is primarily because there was a need of convenience.
Right.
It was a very very big need, right, and it's very universal in especially in our country where there's friction to step out. So now to say that that same retailer could have opened a store, hired five people to run that store, uh, won't serve that need actually, because the need is coming from a customer, right? When was the last time you actually called a salon and booked an appointment, right? How many times do you do it? You have the need so that you can fix and you don't have to wait there, right? Right, or you go and you want to book a stylist that you have, but there is a friction in that. The business also wants to do that at a much cheaper cost so that they can get more bookings, they can be more discoverable, people can get to know what additional services they have, they can do upselling, cross selling. Now to train somebody to do that for a very small business is extremely difficult, right? So I feel technology will get adopted wherever there is a strong need, and wherever the need is not strong enough, technology will fail. That's the nature of technology.
My recent visit to Japan,
Yes.
went to a cafe. Now these are all small cafes, right? Two people, server, cook, owner, everything all rolled in one,
Often a family business.
right? Even if it is not, right? They are so process driven, right? Now there was a set meal. Tablet was kept in front of us. We said set meal. We said choose amongst these four wines. We chose these four wines. Then it said wine without glasses, only bottle, or bottle with glasses. So we said with glasses. We were four of us. It said how many glasses? One, two, three, four. Ice bucket needed? Yes, no. Right? And then something, and then something, and then something, and then there was coffee. And then coffee, it said coffee between appetizer and salad, or between salad and main course, or after meal. And that's it, and tongue. In 5 minutes, that person doesn't have to think, right? Now imagine that person saying, Acha, because each person was having a different need, right? Here everything was done, and that person just followed instructions and cut, 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 cut. They mapped out everything, right? Every possible need, and we were marveling at it. And that's exactly what he's talking about. Now, things like that are easy things to do, and there is a need for it. And you will find a lot of need for that happening in India and the rest of the world as well. Japanese are a different breed, so
Let's talk about some of the really fascinating path-breaking work that you guys are doing. Tell us how the partnership with Bhashini started, and tell us about the work going on behind that.
We in fact are meeting that team next week. We had a initial conversation with them related to the models that they're building. We got access to the API, and next week we are actually going to put out all the models that are available on Bhashini. Like I said, we want to democratize AI adoption. You should not have to go to 500 platforms to have access to 500 models and tools and plugins to build one app, right? How many subscriptions will you manage? And whoever is new, it's very similar to an Amazon kind of story, right? You want to build an AI startup. You've trained a custom model, but you don't have a place. You don't have a marketplace to sell it, right? We want to bring all of that under one roof, one umbrella, make it very easy for them to publish, completely no code to come start selling. And that's one of the stories of Bhashini. We want to promote adoption for Bhashini for Indian-based models, SLMs, LLMs. We've already rolled out one of the Servam APIs on the store. We're rolling out more. So we're just going and talking to anybody who's building anything with AI and saying, "Come, let's put it all together in one place. Let people just come, adopt, integrate, build, deploy, manage." That's the philosophy, and that's the thing with Bhashini as well.
I think technological breakthrough aside, our breakthrough is the AI agent store. The fact that there is a store where what we build, what others build, what anybody builds on the public store is available for people to use easily. And on private stores, so like I told you, the version of the private store sits on prem, right? The same benefit is available to them as well. I mean, we see like millions of AI agents by this time next year being on multiple stores that are powered by Kogo.
Tell us a little about the work that you guys are doing with the Indian Army, as much as you guys can tell us.
All I will say is that it's a project that, as far as AI and armed forces are concerned, it's a kind of project that has never been done before. Not to sound Trumpish, it's the greatest project ever.
Ever in the history of great projects.
Yeah, so it's not that, but it is a first step in the implementation of AI. Praveer leads that initiative. So
I've been deputed there for the last 6-8 weeks, working with the team. They had the Indian Army is really investing heavily in AI. They're building a lot of stuff, and they had called a lot of industry leaders in AI, and then we were also part of that meeting, and they wanted to know what we think about. Then they gave us some use cases. So they have some use cases. They publicly put it up on IDEX. Aditi, there is a program that they run with the government. All tri-services put a lot of requirements and problem statements, public domain, all of that is available. So they're very seriously looking at this as one of the frontiers that they want to really build up. And one of the big problem statements that they have, and again, this is in public domain, is that they want to build a AI as a service platform, wherein various departments with their own use cases can use this stack, and get what they want out of it. They want summarization, they want to query some data, they want to strategize or do predictive analysis or sensor analysis. A lot of these problem statements are there, and our stack kind of solves that for them. But there are many challenges because the Indian Army AI has to work offline.
Right.
There is no internet, there is no cloud. So we are actually building our own models now, fine-tuning our own models, working with a lot of open source models. We're also going to release many open source models that we develop for anybody to use free of cost on our store, so that again we can drive adoption. But that's one thing that the Indian Army and us are working together on.
How much of a role has the government and its policies played behind the tech boom that has happened, behind the AI boom that has happened, the startup boom that has happened in the last decade?
I think the government has, it's a good first step. Let me put it that way, right? So there is definitely some movement towards it. There's definitely some initiatives that are happening. But I mean, we're buying 10,000 GPUs. Meta just bought 100,000, right? So there are things like that. There are many things, especially in the infrastructure space, that we need to make larger strides on. But it's a good starting point. They have the best people as far as policy is concerned who are sort of doing this. There's a lot of public-private partnerships. Of course, the whole startup ecosystem with Startup India and Make in India, and a lot of people are a little cynical and say, oh, these are just programs to make the government look good. I disagree. I think they are great initiatives. The fact that there are so many startups, right? I mean, somebody who says, oh, Startup India really does nothing for you, obviously does not have a registration number. The initiative is there. The SOPs are there. The benefits are there. It is up to you to go and, sort of take advantage of it. The government has said, we will give you these 10 things. But they're not going to put it on a spoon and put it into your mouth. You got to go and say, okay, I'm registered. I would like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're eligible, you get it. It's as simple as that. But you got to go and sort of get it. So the first steps are great. As far as AI is concerned, lots more needs to be done because it's just insane. It's an insane sort of race.
I think that I was at a defense expo for this IDEX Aditi challenge in Pragati Maidan in Delhi. And the kind of companies that I saw building the kind of stuff that they are building, from UAVs to drones to imaging, using really, really advanced algos, were up there with the best in the world. I was really astonished because that's not a sector that you're usually exposed to. And that doesn't also get really covered in the space of AI, right? Even in the media, defense tech, it's a huge, huge space, right? Consumer tech kind of takes the limelight because it's more glossy. But I think there is insane amount of work that's happening. I believe that India has a huge chance of leading the AI race, but uh, maybe not from a fundamental model perspective, but from the application perspective. I think India is going to lead the race because we have uh, the the people and the brains and the expertise to build applications on AI, right? So uh, Korea might not have invented electricity, but they make the largest number of consumer durables, right? That consume that electricity, and I think that opportunity is absolutely available to us. We're already a leader in SaaS, right, globally, and I think that is what we're going to double up on and turn those SaaS products into pure AI driven solutions.
There were so many questions that we got from viewers of a media house, viewers of Hot Seat, and readers of our articles from our websites. I'm going to read this one question, which I think fits the conversation right now. This has come from Mr. S. Iyer. How crucial will AI be in terms of defense? And if you can also tell us, as far as World War III is concerned, will it be a tech war or will it more be a bio war but with AI playing a huge role in such cases?
In defense, AI will play an extremely crucial role. Okay, today, like I said, we are in day one of AI. Right, these models have intelligence, but they don't have the ability to execute code. Today you can use a Claude and it can write code, but it can't execute code. Very soon that ability is going to be available, and when it gets to execute code, then it can do things, right? It can hack into things or it can prevent hacks, and it'll happen so fast that uh, you have one hacker trying to hack into a machine, but you have a million bots uh, simultaneously trying to do the same thing. So I think this will really require planning, investment in research into the defense tech space. As far as World War III is concerned, I don't think it will be a traditional. In my view, it will not be a traditional war. We might not even know that it's happening. An economic crash might be a bigger incentive or a reward to win in future wars than just taking over land, right? So it will be very, very, very difficult to predict, right?
See, the thing is that data really is, I mean, old saying, right? Data is the new oil, right? Anything that has to do with data, so like he rightly said, it would in all likelihood be economical, infrastructural. You don't need bombs, you don't need viruses. All you need to do is economically or infrastructurally cripple uh, a nation. You don't need to take over their land. They can be vassals of yours, they can be in your debt. So it's not the way that people have thought of wars traditionally. That's going to be the future for sure.
You mentioned about the scope, which is just enormous. 2025 is quite literally being touted to be the year of AI agents. Is it actually going to be that? And if yes, how? And just what lies ahead in the near future itself?
4 months ago, 2024 was touted as the year of AI agents, right? So it's just rapidly changing. So there's a lot that's happened in the way AI agents sort of function, the agentic framework, what kind of agents, multi-agentic deployments, etc., etc. So there's a lot. I mean, from week to week, things are changing. So
True.
it's very difficult to sort of give a 6 month footprint. But I see more robust use cases happening, and more reasoning capabilities sort of coming into these agents. So there are different levels of autonomy. It's that level of autonomy sort of going up, and that's really the climb up the ladder that I see.
I just feel that we will spend very little time doing a very complex task. Okay, and we'll have to decide what we do with the time that we've left over. And for me, that's probably the best outcome scenario, right? That agents or frameworks or autonomous frameworks do for us. Today, you want to make a reel. Uh, Today, you want to make a reel, right? Creators are building so much stuff. You shoot, edit, post from your phone,
Yeah.
right? You don't need any other equipment. I could say that now, equipment manufacturing companies are going out of business because everything the phone can do. But that's how much time it saves you and how much content that you can create uh, is a part of that automation, that capability that has increased because the device is more capable today. Same way, technology will be more capable today or tomorrow, and you'll be able to do more in less. I'm purely just banking on this one use case of AI: do more in less, and have fun the rest of the time.
Ride motorcycles.
Yes.
Yes, right. Motorcycles, go work out, travel the world. This was something that Sam Altman said in a conference or somewhere just very recently, that soon there'll be a time where a company will have one founder, hundreds and thousands of AI agents working under that founder, and it will be a $1 billion company. How far away are we from that possibility? And is it even possible in India and near future, distant future?
Solopreneurs are a reality,
Mhm.
are a reality today. And again, depending on use case, industry, etc., of course it is possible. How far? I think next year, if not already. Many use cases where, I mean, the moment we are we have about 8 or 9 more very key agents that are rolling out. The moment they rolled out, literally a small business owner can just run everything on their own. They need to just have the domain knowledge of the business, and rest of it agents can do. They can do accounting, they can do social media management, they can do management of vendors, they can do banking, all of it.
I think it'll be sooner than we can imagine.
Mhm.
And I don't think this will happen in traditional technology businesses.
Hmm.
I think it's more likely to happen out of biotech. So one person building a model that can do research to solve a disease, right? Uh, and that patent sells for $1 billion. That formula for that medicine sells for $1 billion. Now, there I feel there is great advancement that's going on. Google just yesterday, I think DeepFold was released, open to public. So now, like kind of what Meta is doing, Google's also releasing a lot of healthcare related models free to people, and using those models is where extreme amount of innovation is going on. Like I said, defense, but biotech and AI is a huge area where so much work is happening. Medicines. There was a trial of a medicine that happened yesterday, which was created by AI. They're actually trying it for a very specific severe disease. I'm forgetting the name, but and it has been successful. So I think there one person will be able to create a formula and build that company. My bet is on that.
These are all industries that we're talking about, but this one particular question I feel I can ask you guys, because both of you have years of experience in the media and entertainment industry and field as well. Now, I studied film studies. Even the biggest AI believer in me can't somehow digest the fact that AI can write a song like Gulzar Saab does, or write a script like Gone Girl, or write a script like Satya that Ram Gopal Verma did. Is that possible? What do you think?
100,000% yes.
Okay, how?
Okay. So here's the thing. Going back to what Praveer said earlier, right? Garbage in, garbage out. If you, as a person today, want to create a Satya with songs written by Gulzar Saab, it's up to you to sort of give the right input You don't need to write that script. That entire script can get generated, but you need to give it the right prompt and the right input. Is a human in the loop required? Sure. But can you do what AI does in terms of those kind of number of repetitions, iterations, etc.? No, it'll take you a lot of time, right? It just has its ability to sort of reach out in so many places. So whether it is music, whether it's lyrics, whether it is film scripts, whether it's concepts, whether it's videos, 100% AI can do it better. 100%. But is a human in the loop required? I think so. Because that's what AI doesn't have is intuition.
I don't think like that. I think about 5 steps ahead of what is going to happen. Okay. I think there will be no human in the loop. If I was to really explore and say, okay, what can I do with this technology? See, generative AI is built on a probability logic. It predicts the next token, the next word. And if you ask it to write a letter with extreme nuance in the way Shakespeare would write, it's able to write a great letter, right? Now, which means that it is able to predict the next token extremely accurately. Now, what is a movie? It's one scene after another, okay? And it has to predict the next best scene. But imagine it predicts a different scene for you and a different scene for me. So when you start watching the same movie and I watch the same movie, we actually end up watching two different movies. All it has to know is how I'm reacting to watching the movie.
Netflix has done this, Bandersnatch.
Yes,
Yeah.
I've seen Bandersnatch, but you have to make a choice.
Correct.
Right? It was still a if then else tree.
Yeah.
Right? There is no tree here. The system is designing a movie for you and literally building the story based on your response. And
How are
including
they-
the visuals and the sound.
And how are they taking that data from years and years of my watch history?
Maybe you just wear a VR glass or a meta glass and it reads your pupil and if they dilate, if they don't dilate, you can read emotion very well. So for me, that's probably the future where there will be an Avengers movie made for you and a different one made for me, because I like Hulk more than Iron Man. So it's a Hulk starring movie. So for me, that's possible.
That is the eventuality. So to your question of whether media creativity is something that will remain to be human domain, no, not really. I mean, you saw what Sora did.
Yeah.
You can see what Luma Video does.
Yeah, but then you could create your own superhero. That's where it'll open up. Creators will become movie studios, because now they don't need huge production crews to create a movie, right? Bhuvan Bam might create a superhero movie by himself, release it, and people will watch
Without even shooting it.
Yes.
Without
Yes.
even shooting it. And here's the other thing, like one of the agents that we've created is at a absolutely low cost, instantly put the movie in and instantly it will translate it into 15-20 languages along with lip sync and voice cloning.
Oh, wow.
So imagine this podcast now, when you produce it, you just put it into the agent and you have it in Spanish and German and Urdu and Sanskrit and blah, 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 with the lip sync happening.
Sync as well. That takes away so much work from the editor.
That takes away the editor.
No, and-
Sorry, guys. Sorry, guys.
The editor sitting right there. All of them just looked here.
But then that's the reality,
But
right?
you get a larger audience. More people can consume your content, right? This podcast in Bhojpuri would look good.
Yeah. It's been such a fun chat with both of you. We are almost towards the end of the podcast. I just want to ask one or two more questions that we have got from viewers, and quite a few of them developers, in fact. This one has come from Mr. A. LLMs are getting bigger in size and becoming black box day by day. As we know, it is important to achieve the white box to understand how AI functions. How do you think we'll get there while improving LLMs along the way?
Even people who built the LLMs don't know how they work. Okay, because the fundamental reason is that they built the learning algo. The learning algo was fed insanely large amount of data, and it somehow learned really well, and now it spits out things which are extremely comprehensible. and so nobody knows what's in the black box. That's why it's called the black box. But on the other hand, I feel it's only a matter of time. These LLMs are going to become extremely small, quantized. Quantization is a huge thing that's going on right now. Data will get compressed. They'll become smaller, smarter, faster. They'll need less compute. Last week, I was
The
chatting
China,
about this. The
yeah.
Quen model came out. It's a 32 billion parameter model that's currently beating Cloud Sonnet 3.5 and GPT 4.0 in coding tasks. It's only a 32 billion parameter model, and it got created because China currently has a lack of GPUs, right? So they're building models on CPUs. They don't have the compute, so they have to deal with less data, but they built a more efficient model. The world is going to go into smaller, faster, better, more intelligent models, not the other way around.
We have this question that's come to us from Sagar Sharma, and I also have this question. If AI hallucinates, which we know that it does, then how much can it actually be trusted in something as important as medical sector?
See, AI hallucination for most of these. So a lot of this AI has hallucination comes from the fact that you're talking about generative AI, right? But when you talk about specific use cases, whether it's insurance, medical, banking, etc., the beacon of truth is actually the data set that pre-exists, and that is where it's deriving all of its output and insight and intelligence and knowledge. So you're taking that data and converting it into knowledge, into information, into insight, and into intelligence, and therefore the output. The scope for for hallucination there is also then controlled by the fact that the output is grounded in that data. So the guardrails are there, and the output is grounded in the data set that is actually the key beacon of truth for that particular model. So when you talk about medical or banking or insurance, it's more grounded than if you talk about generic, Gen AI.
Hallucination is a temporary bug. I think it will go away. You would have already seen GPT as you use it maybe 1 year back, and today hallucination is almost close to zero. Right? It might not be able to solve a problem, but it rarely now gives wrong answers, and that's just a problem everyone is dealing with, and it'll get solved.
I'll give you a small example. I've sort of given some personality to my GPT assistant, right? Last year, I said, tell me the nightclubs in Ooty, because that's where I live. And it said, there are no nightclubs in Ooty. I said, sure, there are. And I gave 2-3 names. It was basically a combination of a color and an animal. And what it did was it gave me, because that's its job to generate. It gave me 20 nightclubs in Ooty: purple frog, green rhino, yellow dog, orange octopus, and so on. And spat out 20 names and said, these are the nightclubs in Ooty.
But those are actually
No,
not
there is not
Of
even
course
one.
not there.
They don't
Yeah.
exist,
Yeah.
right? The classic case of hallucination.
Correct.
You ask it now and you say, but these are there. And it says, well, not according to the information I have.
Right.
So it's getting better. It's a nanosecond by nanosecond improvement, right?
Yeah, it's a problem of alignment, and alignment is a huge problem currently in research circles of how to align these models, and a lot of work is happening in alignment. So yeah, this will get only better.
Chali, this is the last question that we'll take from the viewers that have come in. This one, and she is a reporter who works with AI itself. Her name is Aditi Gupta. Models like Quen are known to work well on consumer grade GPUs like NVIDIA 3090. Do you think we will reach the stage where complex AI development will no longer be restricted to expensive hardware?
Oh, absolutely. It has to be, because eventually, so as your hardware will become more compute intensive, you will have a NPU layer in your phone, you'll have a GPU layer in your laptop, but models will get much, much, much smaller. Eventually, AI will have to be private, right? Because what you talk, as it has more capability, you'll talk to it more, and you would want that conversation to be private, right? So and on device is something which is a big future. We're actually working very closely with Qualcomm and IBM on trying to build on edge AI. because we have to solve this problem for the Indian military. We need a lot of intelligence, but we don't have the compute. We don't have GPU availability. So this is only but natural that this is going to go down that route.
3 days back, got back from Japan.
Mhm.
You're going to the States today itself. You guys travel so much, the country, the world, for leisure, for work. I want to ask you, what are in some of these other superpower countries, the States, China, Japan, Europe? What is happening there as far as AI is concerned, as far as AI agents are concerned?
Surprisingly, far lesser than India as far as, like he said, India lead the race as far as the application of AI goes.
Mhm.
Foundational model wise, of course, the West is, the Bay Area and the West, and
Correct.
of course, lots of stuff happening in Europe. But you will find that this kind of agentic framework and this kind of application of AI, we are really way ahead in terms of the kind of companies that are doing it. Has it permeated into daily life? It's not permeated into daily life anywhere. Okay. That will eventually happen. I mean, a small insertion of that is probably Apple Intelligence at the latest, and what Google is doing on Android phones. But that apart, really we're ahead. I would say the other two, the other country which is also the other two which were sort of ahead are both now at war, which was Ukraine and Israel. But now I guess we don't have anything, touch wood, so far, uh, diverting our attention. We're ahead.
So, if we are ahead, then why is it that the investments that are coming into AI companies in the country are not close, nowhere close to the investments that are going into the AI companies in the Bay Area, for that matter? Say,
Go back to the electricity example, right? The investments are going today in building the factories to generate electricity, right? Not yet in application building, right? It will come down to application building also. Once applications are smart enough to build multiple different types of use cases, right? More horizontal than vertical. So it's the gold rush, right? You would first go and buy the oil mine, right? And then you will build the logistics network to distribute oil. But so that's what's happening right now. It's the gold rush of controlling generation, right? Generation of this compute. So that's why currently the investment is completely focused on foundational AI.
Or related infrastructural, let's say, AI infrastructure, AI application. Yeah, there is of course, but that's a traditional issue of more investment being in the West. There's more, I would say, exposure from a even from an investor point of view, and they don't know whether or not it's a bet that they want to take in India. It's also an individual investor thesis kind of thing. Same companies which are doing such great work in India, what he saw at Defense Tech, etc. If all those companies were actually sitting in the US, they'd all be funded close to 100, 200, $300 million.
right.
And that is the reality.
6 companies, 5 companies, current one doing such wonders. If I have to ask you to give one, or aap log chaho to you can give 2 pieces of advice, or as many pieces of advice to budding entrepreneurs who want to do something in the tech sector, in the AI world, build in India, take it to the world, what will that advice be? Rohit?
Get started and think AI first, and I think you'll end up creating something incredible.
I think mine is more from a generic entrepreneurial startup point of view. Too many good companies have shut down because they didn't go that extra inch or mile of taking a risk, right? You've got to take the risk, which is very similar to what he's saying. Get started, and you've got to take the risk. You've got to sort of have the strength to keep moving forward. Look at us. We launched and COVID happened.
Yeah, exactly.
It was very simple. You regroup, put your head down, ride the shit wave out, and come out smelling of roses. That's what you have to do.
I always use this example that entrepreneurship is like driving a car in fog. You only see that much ahead,
Right.
but you've got to keep going ahead if you have to reach your destination.
Starting from Indian industry leaders to industry leaders in the world who have quite literally changed the world. Example, Jeff Bezos and others have quite literally said that the coming decade, the coming 2 decades, the coming time is India's time. It is to be in India, is to be the best time for this. Do you guys agree with that? And if yes, why?
I think it's not a decade that defines a country, because usually that lens is an economic lens, right? That okay, GDP growth, but if you don't look at it as a economic lens and you say, there are more factors to growth, right? Work-life balance is one of them, which I keep coming back to because I think this country needs work-life balance more than any other country does, right? And I would say that is a bigger factor. If the next decade for India is that India achieves work-life balance, goes up on the happiness index, which we are very, very low on, I think that would be India's decade. Happier people, enjoying life and also making money. That would be India's decade.
So the 70 hours a week, I'm guessing you guys are not an advocate of.
No, but we work more than
No,
70 hours
we
a week.
work, we both continue to work more than 70 hours a week.
But you guys are giving your folks 4 days a week, huh? 4 days a week work.
1st of March.
First of March
yes.
onwards.
No, we want more companies to adopt this.
Right.
We want to start a trend. If it catches on, we want more people to demand this, and that's when companies will start thinking AI first, because that's how you automate processes. You save people time.
Make no mistake, 4 days a week does not mean 1 day lesser amount of work. It means being 25% more efficient. So to be 25% more efficient, it doesn't mean you work for 10 hours instead of 8 hours on those 4 days. You still work 8 hours, or maybe 7, or maybe 6, but still do 25% more. So that's how.
How was the podcast for you guys? Raj, how was it for you?
Great, yeah, good fun, good chat.
Absolutely.
Like I told you, we'll just sit, chat, and shoot the breeze.
I think AI is a passion, so we all in this room are passionate about this. So we can speak for hours.
AI is a passion indeed, and we all know that AI is a passion for you all as well. Do drop in the comments, how did you find this podcast, this episode of The Hot Seat by A Media House? Don't forget to share it with your friends and family if you liked it. And of course, subscribe to The Hot Seat for more such content just like this. This is me, your friend Korak. I will see you guys in the next